All right. What's going on, everyone? Another live stream here. Going to wait for people to trickle in. But today we're going to be discussing the bombshell OG Anunoby report from yesterday from Brian Windhorst and the follow-up on it from Fred Katz's podcast from last night. And then the news, of course, today that Pascal Siakam is going to be re-signing with the Indiana Pacers on a 4-year, $189.5 million deal. And of course, Siakam and Anunoby are former teammates, and there are two players who are defensive game changers, and there is some sort of correlation between the two and in the open market. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the Siakam deal and how it relates to the OG Anunoby potential extension that the Knicks want to give him, that he has shown a little trepidation towards being interested in. But let's get right into it. We don't have to wait for anyone else to come in here. But so yesterday was reported by Brian Windhorst of ESPN that OG Anunoby, his agent Sam Rose, which of course is Leon Rose's son, and OG Anunoby's agent were both not thrilled by the Knicks' initial offer, and that OG Anunoby is going to be testing the open market. He's gonna see what he's worth on the open market, and to be honest, I don't think anyone should blame him for that, especially if the Knicks' offer was a lowball offer, which I don't think it was. Here's my thing about this. I think that this is gamesmanship, and it's going to set up a very interesting Thanksgiving between Sam and Leon Rose this year. But I just don't see any sort of circumstance in which the Knicks don't re-sign OG Anunoby to a reasonable, fair deal. I don't know. I know that this has been very repetitive in me saying this, but I just don't see a way in which the Knicks went out and traded for OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam. He's already on my mind. We're going to get to him in a minute. But trading for OG Anunoby, trading for Precious Achiuwa, and giving up Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett, two homegrown Knicks guys. First off, the Knicks put their trust in RJ Barrett, giving him an extension just the year before. Quickly, they offered 4 years, $80 million. He wanted more. He's probably going to get more. But they had trust in both of these guys. So much trust in which to give $20+ million to each of them. But they traded both those guys, two guys that have control. Of course, Emmanuel Quickley is a restricted free agent, and I'm assuming that the Raptors are going to re-sign him. I mean, why not? He's a great talent. And even at $25 million a year over 4 years is well worth that price. So I just cannot see the Knicks making that deal and not going all out in signing OG Anunoby. And now it's reported by Fred Katz in his podcast, Katz and Shoot. Check it out. He's one of the best Knicks reporters out there. He does some great stuff. But he essentially quotes this anonymous source that says the Knicks, or OG and Leon's son Sam have the Knicks by the balls, which I think is hilarious considering the fact that, again, Leon's son is the agent of OG Anunoby, and right now it's seeming like there has been a leak in OG Anunoby's camp saying that he doesn't love the offer of the Knicks, and I'm sure the Knicks aren't thrilled about that, but they have really no choice. They have no leverage here. They need to make this deal. They have no choice. And there has to be some sort of trepidation. There has to be some sort of due diligence that the Knicks do here, considering the fact that OG Anunoby missed the end of this year because of his injury. He tried to play it in Game 7. All the credit to him. He taped it up, went out there, obviously wasn't even near 40, 50%, and had to come out after 5 minutes of play. But he tried, and he's got fire. He's got passion. He fits the mold of the Knicks well. But for over $40 million a year, I'm not sure about that. And as of right now, it's around $35 million a year, in which it's been projected that the Knicks will give him 4 years, $140 million, which equates to $35 million a year. I think anything above that is a little too steep for a guy that hasn't played over 70 games in a season since his rookie year. You need stability. You need a guy you know is going to go out there every night and is going to produce, especially at the defensive level that he's able to produce at. And you look at what Pascal Siakam got today, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that he got a max deal from the Pacers. He is a winner. He is a number 2 option on a championship team. He proved that in 2019. Say what you want about Kyle Lowry's production on that team. The number 2 option was Pascal Siakam. I mean, his rise to stardom in that 2019 season is just as big of a reason why they won the championship as is Kawhi Leonard's just otherworldly skills on both sides of the ball. So when you look at the Siakam deal and you compare it to OG Anunoby, as I just mentioned, OG hasn't played more than 70 games in a season since his rookie year. Siakam has never played under 55 games in a season and played in 80 this past year. So there's more consistency from Siakam. And of course, you have to factor in what Siakam brings you offensively, being a 20-plus points per game scorer in each of the last, in each of the last 6 seasons since his most improved season in 2019 when they won the championship. So you have stability on the offensive end that OG Anunoby doesn't really provide you. And I know he showed some flashes of that, especially at the end of that stretch in January before Julius got injured, where he was taking some of the offensive load away from Julius and away from Jalen. But when he came back, he was able to do it in bunches and sporadically and inconsistently, but he did do it. So you know that there's some offensive upside with OG Anunoby. But you're not signing a guy because of his upside. You're at this point in his career, you're signing him for what you know you can have. And what you know you have with OG Anunoby is arguably the best perimeter defender in the NBA. But you also have a guy who struggles to stay on the court, who misses a lot of time, who gets injured a lot. And that can't be overlooked. And maybe the Knicks' first offer to Anunoby was a lowball offer, and maybe his camp had all the right reasons to leak this information, to make it be known that they felt slighted by the Knicks. They felt disrespected by the Knicks because that's what this says. And maybe there's some bad blood there now, and maybe this snowballs into a larger thing. I don't think so. I think Anunoby comes back to the Knicks either way. I think this is some sort of ploy from Sam Rose, Leon's son, OG's agent, again, to get more money for his client. And it makes sense. It's the right move. It strategically is the right move. It is going to intrigue other teams to know what the offer was originally, and I'm sure that Sam Rose isn't going to be shy in telling other teams what the Knicks did offer. I just don't see any circumstance in which the Knicks don't re-sign Anunoby. I mean, can you really imagine a scenario in which the Knicks next year tried out a lineup without Anunoby? What does that lineup give you? Does it make you a top 3 team in the East? I don't think so. Do you have the depth? Do you have the length in the front court to defend some of these really talented offenses? I don't think so. So no shit, OG Anunoby has the Knicks and Leon Rose by the balls. Of course he does. Obviously, this does not help the Knicks. It doesn't help the bottom line of the Knicks right now, which is to bring back their guys and run it back. When you give up what the Knicks gave up in that trade, it becomes very obvious that, of course, the Knicks are going to do whatever it takes to bring Anunoby back. But if a team comes in and offers him $45-50 million a year, the Knicks are going to walk. They're not going to fall for that. If they're trying to pay, if another team tries to pay OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam money, good riddance. See ya. Bye-bye. The Knicks are just going to have to pivot. They really have no choice. That's the thing. They're going to have to wait and see. They're going to have to give OG Anunoby a reasonable, fair offer, maybe a few $1 million less per year than the top bidding team. Maybe he wants to give the Knicks a hometown discount. Maybe he doesn't. Who knows? But you got to try that. You have to go out of your way to offer him at least near the most money that he's getting. And it also remains to be seen whether Sam Rose is going to give any sort of favorability to his father and the Knicks. Of course, they have a relationship. It's like, their father and son. So that's just another wrench in all of this. It's like, is this just father-son games? Like, is he trying to win one and prove to his father that he's the real deal and he's self-made, homegrown, wasn't helped out by any nepotism? Who knows? Who knows? I just don't see a chance in which OG Anunoby is not with the orange and blue next year. There's just no way, guys. There's no way. Because, and it is true that he has him by the balls. He has the Knicks organization by the balls right now. 100%. There is just no way that I see the Knicks next year without Anunoby. Again, I can't see it. I think this is all BS. I think you could look and see right through this report. And look at it for what it is. It is a ploy by Sam Rose and OG Anunoby to get the most money possible because of this, the optics that, of course, are there when a father and a son are negotiating and there's this there's this talent that you gave up homegrown assets for. So listen, there's a reason why this situation is the way that it is, and there's a reason why it's not going to change anytime soon. And any Knicks fan out there with any hope that the second free agency started, the Knicks would magically agree to a contract extension with Anunoby, I have a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. That was never happening. Of course, he was going to test the open market. Of course, he was going to field every offer there is from the Sixers, from the whoever wants to offer OG Anunoby is going to get a chance to offer OG Anunoby. And the Knicks, I think the right thing to do in this situation, considering that OG did risk potentially a bigger payday by re-aggravating his injury in Game 7 by going out and saying, "Hey, listen, I'm a Knick. I want to go out there and put my body on the line for this team, for this organization." That maybe there is some sort of mutual respect there, that if Anunoby gets a massive deal, he comes to the Knicks and says, "Hey, do you guys want to up this? Do you want to match it? Do you want to come up to short?" And we'll see where they go from there. But there's just I know I keep repeating myself on this, but I just don't see any way that OG Anunoby is not a Knick next year. He proved himself to be the X factor on the team. What was it? 21-4 they were with Anunoby on the court. Even better with Anunoby and Randall. The Knicks know what they have. Anunoby knows his own value, but it depends on what other teams see his value as when you look at his injury history. When you look at the fact that the last 3 years, he hasn't been able to stay on the court as well as you'd like for a guy who you need to rely on as much as the Knicks will need to rely on OG Anunoby. In 2021, Anunoby played 43 games, and in 2021, 2022, he played 48. And this year, he played 50. It's not a good look because over the course of your career, you don't get less injury prone. As you age, your body starts to break down more. It takes you longer to recover from injuries. And that's not a good sign for OG Anunoby. How many different stories have we seen in the NBA with guys who showed from time to time to be injury prone, where later in their career, their bodies broke down on them? Patrick Ewing comes to mind. Like, there you go. I know it's too close to home, but Patrick Ewing is a perfect example of this with the knees, where it completely changed his game. And I'm not saying Anunoby has hopefully you assume that the elbow isn't a lingering issue. You assume that there hasn't been any injuries from his youth or earlier on in his career that have lingered to this point. I don't think so. I don't think the hamstring was something that he experienced in the past, but you hope that none of this stuff is lingering, and you hope that each injury that happens is just a new injury and he just is a little injury prone. So I think that values into it. And I think that this is all a negotiating ploy. And that's what we can all chalk this up as. Of course it is. Guys, do we really think that OG Anunoby is not going to be a Knick next year? I know I sound like, I don't know. I can't believe I'm saying this. Like in the year 2024, I'm out here discussing a situation in which we all expect the Knicks to not F it up. I just don't expect them to do that. It's unfortunate the lack of leverage they have over Anunoby. It's unfortunate that they have to consider his injury history in all of this, and they can't just throw the money that he thinks he deserves at him. Of course, the first offer. Siakam is a different story. Siakam, you knew from the start, since they traded for him, they probably work out a deal. Siakam's not looking to test the market. He really likes Indiana. He fits extremely well there, and they were going to offer him a max contract. The Knicks are going to offer OG Anunoby what they think he deserves. And it's been reported, again, at 4 years, $140 million. Maybe they offered him a little bit less, and they were shocked by that. But either way, if they offered him the 4 years, $140 million, do you really think he accepts that, signs the dotted line the second they offered him? I don't think so. I really don't. So I think that this was all meant to happen. Everything is meant to be, guys. Everything is meant to be. So let OG Anunoby test the open market. Let him see what's out there. And if he doesn't get what he thinks he deserves, he'll be a Knick. If he does get what he deserves and the Knicks feel the need to, they're going to feel the need to, but if they feel like it's worth it to offer him a similar type of deal, they will. And I think he'll be extended with the Knicks. I'm not looking too, I just said 17 minutes on this. And I don't think I'm looking that far into it, but also like I see right through this BS. When has Ryan Windhorst been correct with the Knicks take, though, with the Knicks report? Is he really looked at as one of the more reliable sources of Knicks information? I don't think so. I really don't. And I saw a few tweets like fairly calling that out. Like, who is he talking to, the Knicks organization? He's not talking to anyone in the Knicks organization. He heard this directly from Sam Rose. That's what we could chalk it up at. Sam Rose reached out to Brian Windhorst. Say this on ESPN. Smart. It really is. It's smart. Again, it's going to create some issues at the next Rose Thanksgiving. That's for sure. So I wanted to talk about the life of Willie Mays quickly here. My grandpa wanted me to bring this up. If you want to stick around for this, we're going to get to Aaron Judge in a moment and what happened last night. But Willie Mays died at 93 yesterday. My grandpa says he's one of the greatest baseball players ever. You don't really need to hear that. But think about the amount of legendary athletes that we've lost in the last 4 weeks. We lose Bill Walton, then we lose Jerry West, now we lose Willie Mays. And it's different with baseball than it is with the NBA. The NBA is just going to get worse and worse and worse, considering how young the league is, how the real superstars of the league are still in their 60s, 70s, 80s. So unfortunately, this is just going to become the norm for the NBA and for the NBA's legends. But when you hear the news that Willie Mays, a generational type player, a generational type human being who, the catch is one of the most iconic plays in all of sports history. So, it's really sad. And I just wanted to discuss that. Shout out to my grandpa. He says he's one of the best baseball players ever. He probably, I know he grew up going to games. I wish we were all afforded the same opportunity to watch a young Willie Mays. But let's talk about the Yankees quickly and what happened last night, what transpired last night with the hitting of Aaron Judge and then Gleyber Torres in the game. And with where the Yankees are at right now 4 games or whatever it is, they're 4 games ahead in the win column. I think they haven't played the same amount of games as the Orioles. But in the spot that the Yankees are at right now, when you face a division rival like the Orioles, the one real division rival this year, I know the Yankees just lost a series to the Red Sox, but the Red Sox are still pretty far behind. They're fighting for the wild card and not necessarily the division. So when you look at a situation like what happened last night, you could fairly assume that there might be some significant ramifications in terms of what the Yankees could respond with and just how this this new rivalry, it is a rivalry, you could say at this point, will look going forward. Garrett Cole takes the mound for the Yankees for the first time since his injury in spring training, and since, of course, last year at the end of the regular season, they didn't make the postseason. Tonight. And Garrett Cole, it's unfortunate that now Garrett Cole, coming off his injury after absolutely dicing up the competition in the minors, in a rehab assignment, is going to have to throw at one of these Orioles. Gunnar Henderson's going to have to take one in the ribs. He's going to have to take one in the leg. And Lee's going to have to – the Yankees need a response here, right? You can't just sit idly by while your division rival hits your best player and then plunks another guy later in the game. If one other guy got hit, there probably would have been a brawl. And maybe tonight when the Yankees respond, I hope they respond. It's just unfortunate that it has to be Garrett Cole in his first start back, and hopefully they aren't stupid and throw him out of the game. I hope that there is some response from the Yankees. It's unfortunate that, again, that it's Cole, but that might start something. But this is good for baseball. This is great. The fact that the Red Sox are the Red Sox this year and the Blue Jays are the Blue Jays, they aren't realistically going to be competing with the Yankees. The one team that is, the Baltimore Orioles, who have just an unbelievable future and probably the ideal situation in terms of position players. They're calling up guys left and right. I mean, they just have this smorgasbord of talent in their farm that they just can keep rotating in and rotating out. And at some point, they're going to have to make a trade. They're going to have to go all in, acquire a pitcher because they have so many injuries to their rotation. Even with the bullpen too, with Bautista being out this year, they have so much talent in their farm that they could use to just get better than the Yankees. Maybe this is some frustration for the Yankees stealing their thunder, right? Maybe it's that. I don't know. But as someone who lives and dies with every Yankees injury update, I think I speak for all Yankee fans in saying how relieved we were last night that Aaron Judge's x-rays came back negative. He got imaging last night. I said he was good to go. I doubt they trot him out there tonight. I feel like you give him a day off. He won the first game in the series. You play him on tomorrow, on Thursday. But man, we got lucky. We all got lucky because how many times has something drastic happened where like split second thing? Of course, Aaron Judge's toe, the split second thing. And just like that, he's out for 2 months. With Rizzo the other night, I mean, Rizzo hasn't been great, and Rice is a very solid backup option at first base when you consider the level of production that Rizzo has given you this year. I mean, he's batting low 200s, no power. Like, he's kind of waning in his career at this point. I'm not saying good riddance that he got hurt. Rizzo is still a solid option defensively, even though, again, he also took a step back defensively as well. But you bring in the young guy, Rice. He got a hit last night, which was cool to see. You got to get his first hit. But I digress. About Rizzo. Thankfully, Judge is okay. I didn't want to do too much on this Yankee stuff because there really isn't much to talk about. Hopefully, there's not much to talk about when I do my next live stream later on this week. Hopefully, there's no brawl. Hopefully, there's no suspension from Major League Baseball stemming from a little brawl between the Yankees and the Orioles, who play again tonight. Let's go Yankees. Hopefully they could gain some games on the Orioles. Hopefully they can get back. And hopefully karma bites this Orioles team in the ass for what they did yesterday. That'll do it. I'm Bryce Gelman. I do 2 of these a week. Also, if you missed, I put out a YouTube video yesterday with Chris Persiani of Knicks Film School. Some great stuff there, about a 30-minute talk about the Knicks draft, about free agency. It was before the Anunoby report that he wasn't thrilled with the initial offer from the Knicks, but there's still a bunch of really good nuggets in that. So if you've been tuned out with the Knicks draft talk and what they could potentially do, what Leon's going to do, take a look, watch it. Chris Persiani, one of the Knicks Twitter greats. He's a year younger than me. He's really talented, and we had a good talk. So if you missed that, go check it out. It's on my YouTube channel. So I will be speaking to you all later on this week with my last live stream. But thank you all for tuning in today. I will see you all either tomorrow or Friday.